Welcome, folks. Let's dive into the realm of DIY immigration and the common document pitfalls applicants encounter.
I'm excited to get into this. What's the first major issue we should discuss?
The first big point is treating the document checklist as the decision standard. Many applicants assume that ticking all the checklist boxes equals automatic approval, but not so fast.
Right, because the checklist only covers what you need to submit, not how you present it, correct?
Exactly. It's like completing your grocery list doesn't ensure you cook a delicious meal. It all depends on how you use those ingredients. IRCC officers are keen on the clarity, credibility, and overall eligibility, which the checklist alone doesn't guarantee.
That makes perfect sense. It's about the presentation and logical flow in the application.
Now, the next pitfall is inconsistency in information across forms and documents. Applicants often mix up timelines, employment dates, or even job titles. Even a small discrepancy can raise red flags.
It's like if you tell one story in one document and a different one in the next, the officer is bound to ask, hold on, which one is it?
Exactly right. And these inconsistencies can seriously undermine your credibility. Think about overlapping timelines between work, studies, or even travel. It creates doubt whether the applicant is being transparent.
True. But don't you think sometimes these discrepancies are simply mistakes rather than intentional misrepresentation?
They can be, absolutely. But from the officer's standpoint, it doesn't matter. The responsibility lies with the applicant to provide a consistent narrative. Could I change that a bit? Because sometimes minor typos might not be so damning if the overall story is clear.
That's a fair point, but even minor errors, if unaddressed, can trigger further scrutiny, right?
Precisely. Next up, we have the use of generic or template-based letters of explanation. People often reuse these without tailoring them to their specific situation, and generic templates can lead to vague or incomplete answers that don't preempt officer concerns.
So essentially, it's about providing personalized context, ensuring that every letter clearly explains any gaps or discrepancies.
Exactly. If the explanation remains too vague, the officer might not even infer your intended context.
Exactly. On that note, what about those employment gaps, changes in career, or unusual circumstances? How could an applicant handle those better?
Ah, yes. That's our fourth pitfall. Failing to explain gaps, changes, or any unusual circumstances. It's important to clarify any employment gaps or sudden career shifts, because without explanation, they become potential risk indicators.
Right. So it's not that they are inherently bad, but the lack of explanation might lead the officer to question the continuity of your experience.
You got it. The key is to provide, clear reasons behind these changes, so that the officer can see the big picture.
Moving on, another common mistake is submitting documents that just don't prove the claim made. Isn't that right?
Yes, and it's a tricky one. For instance, employment letters might confirm your job, but if they don't detail your duties, they won't fully substantiate your work experience. The same goes for financial documents or educational certificates. If they lack context or evidence, they're just pretty paper.
That really highlights that the IRCC is more interested in evidence that supports your story rather than a mere collection of documents, correct?
Exactly. It's about demonstrating eligibility. Now, the last pitfall, and perhaps a big misconception, is assuming that IRCC will ask for clarification if something is unclear.
Yeah, I've seen that a lot.
Many DIY applicants think officers will reach out for more details.
Unfortunately, that's rarely the case, isn't it?
Correct. Officers are under no obligation to contact you for further explanation. If something isn't clear from the start, the application could be refused outright.
Absolutely. So from what we're seeing, the overarching theme is clarity and consistency. Would you say that's the key takeaway?
Absolutely. It's all about paying close attention to the details. It's like preparing a well-rehearsed presentation. Every document and explanation should seamlessly support your overall claim.
Yeah, exactly. And this really ties back into why these mistakes are common among DIY applicants. Many will rely too much on the checklist and underestimate the importance of how things are presented, rather than just submitted.
That's right. Over-reliance on checklists, underestimating the need for thorough explanations, and assuming that officers have a lenient, forgiving lens on unclear information. These are the pitfalls.
Yep. It kind of sounds like a recipe for, a perfect storm in document preparation, doesn't it?
It really does, and one effective strategy to reduce risks is to review all timelines across your documents. Ensure every explanation is direct and, check that every piece of evidence supports your exact claim.
Absolutely. And I guess that's why some applicants opt for professional document review services.
Exactly. Services like the ones offered by Fly to Canada can be incredibly helpful. They provide an extra set of eyes to catch any inconsistencies or vague explanations before submission, which is, often worth the investment.
Yeah, I can see that. But isn't there a risk, some might say, of outsourcing too much of the process, thereby possibly obscuring the applicant's personal narrative?
That's an interesting point. I would say it's a balance, really. Professional reviewers ensure clarity and consistency, while the applicant must still take ownership of their narrative. Otherwise, the authenticity might suffer.
Right, I see what you mean. So what could be some quick tips for someone doing this on their own to avoid those critical errors?
First, meticulously cross-check every piece of information across all forms and letters. Second, avoid generic templates. Make sure every letter of explanation is, tailored to address specific issues in your application.
Exactly.
Third, never assume that an officer will call you back for clarification. Everything must be crystal clear right off the bat.
And don't forget about providing context for employment gaps or sudden changes in career direction. These aren't inherently negatives if explained properly.
Absolutely. It's all about creating a coherent, comprehensive story that confirms your claim. Even small details, if explained, can make a big positive impact.
Yeah, totally. Before we wrap up, any final thoughts on how applicants might best prepare their documentation?
I'd say, invest time in reviewing your entire application as a cohesive story. Double-check every timeline, every role, and every explanation. And if possible, get a professional review to safeguard against those small mistakes that can derail an otherwise strong application.
Yep, that's solid advice. This has been quite the eye-opener. It's fascinating how much nuance there is behind document preparation for immigration.
It really is. And being mindful of these common mistakes can literally be the difference between a smooth submission and a refusal.
No doubt about that. Thanks for shedding light on these important points. It's crucial for DIY applicants to hear this.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure discussing these topics. Here's to clearer, more credible applications for everyone out there.